Hello, everyone. Chad Erickson here with Advice Media. I'm the Vice President of Strategy, and it's my pleasure to welcome you into our webinar today. I am excited to talk about this topic of the COVID comeback and really being a time to thrive. And let me tell you, there's a lot of thought that's gone into this and what we're trying to accomplish. And I can tell that there's a huge desire to have this kind of content because we've actually had more registrants for this webinar than any other webinar that we have offered in the past 2.5 years. So it tells me that that this is definitely something that's on people's minds, and I look forward to sharing a lot of concepts and ideas with you today. We at Advice Media are very committed to you and to helping you. We have met and started meeting back at the beginning of March. As we saw this coming down, we organized our staff here to be able to be remote. And then we've been meeting as an executive team and management team twice a week for the past several weeks. And then most recently, as an executive team, talking about this concept of the COVID comeback, recognizing that it is going to end as you see some of the news sources. We're peaking in some areas, some other areas, not yet. We're still seeing some high death tolls, and they're still reluctant to open up some areas, but we're getting there, and they're talking about it, and they're starting to make plans for it, which is something they weren't doing even a week ago. So as you start to think about that, we want to talk about how to really make a COVID comeback, because now should be a time to thrive. And so I'm going to share a lot of concepts with you today, but today's only the introduction. There's going to be a lot more that Advice Media is going to be sharing with all of you over the upcoming weeks to really help you be successful at what you are doing. I always love to start with this beautiful picture of our backyard here in Park City. We were bummed to actually get our ski season shortened a little bit, but felt that it was really important as well to show this, because I love the image of the light coming up. And right now is a time to be thinking about the light. A lot of you are down, you're wondering what's going on. It's a little bit frustrating, and we're going to change that. We're going to help change your mindset today, help you understand that there is much that can be done. There's a lot that's out there, a lot of opportunities, but we're going to help you identify a plan to make this a reality. But I don't want to dwell on a lot of negative, but I do want to start with this today. And thinking about where you're at and what is the impact of COVID-19 been on your business. For some of you, it's dramatic. For others, not so much. You're just kind of weathering the storm and going along. But the reality is that pretty much everybody is being affected by this in one way or another. The U.S. economy has taken a major hit. As we know, last week there were another 6.6 million people in the United States that filed for unemployment, and so we've actually hit almost 14% unemployment, which is astounding. We were looking at basically negative unemployment here in the state of Utah a few months ago, literally not having enough people in the economy where we could actually go out and find people. It was becoming extremely challenging being here as part of the Silicon Slopes and having a very talented workforce, and that changed. But what can we do today? This morning I opened up and was looking through Instagram, and one of the people I follow is Justin Sua. He's a psychologist, helps out with Tampa Bay Rays. He's helped out with some NFL teams. Was a big time guy with the Boston Red Sox during their championship runs. But I love this quote that he put out today, that today equals another opportunity to get better. And that's how we should all see it, as today is another opportunity for us to get better at everything that we're doing. And so this depression that we're in, this minor depression, we can all work to make it short-lived if we have a solid plan and a process and a strategy to make this happen. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about 5 items, 5 things that you can do. By the way, this is being recorded, and so if you're wanting to go back and review it later, share it with other people at your office, please do so. We're going to be sending out the recording. I want to make sure that you're aware of that. Also, I do welcome your questions. I'm going to take those at the end. I'm kind of moderating and presenting by myself today. And so at the end, I'll take any questions you have and we can continue the discussion. But again, 5 items I want to talk about today. The first one is the importance of having mission, a mission statement, your values as well. What is that direction? We're going to talk about that. Also, knowing your metrics, knowing your numbers, and what that really means. And there's a lot of different things to look at, but which ones are going to be most impactful for you and at your practice. Also, want to talk about what are your options and opportunities, because every single business has opportunities. You won't know those unless you know the numbers first. Then we're going to talk about how to develop goals, and what we also use is OKRs. And I'm going to talk about how OKRs function and how they can help align everybody in your organization. And really, by understanding these principles around goals and OKRs, you will be able to create a culture of excellence at your business. And lastly is the implementation of your plan. You can talk about all the other theories, all these other things, you can put some things down, but if you don't actually implement, it all means nothing. So we're gonna go through that as well and talk about how you're gonna do that and how we at Advice Media are going to assist you along this path as well and be your guide. So talking about mission and values, I want to start by reading this quote. I love great quotes. This is from Stephen Schallenberger. He says, when you have a clear, compelling mission, you transform the effort, the conversation, and the results of your organization. Isn't that powerful? You think about that. It's compelling and it transforms everything you're doing, the conversation, and inevitably the results that you're working towards. In a Gallup survey, they found that amongst the workforces in the US, that 75% of employees feel disconnected from their work. That's huge. Think about that. 75% of the people that work for you feel disconnected from what's going on and from their work. Why is that? Well, it comes down to them not understanding how their role matters within the organization. They don't understand why. The mission and creating a solid mission helps them to understand this. It creates this alignment and this direction. The Dalai Lama said, in order to carry a positive action, we must develop a positive vision. And you can really, a lot of companies now are using mission, vision interchangeably. Mission becomes more directive. I think for a while it fell out of fancy, it was one of those buzzwords, but the reality is it creates a very clear, simple, and easy to remember direction within the organization. It aligns, it gives direction, it gives purpose, and it gives inspiration to why everybody is there. This is what creates and will reduce that 75% number. Because what it also does is it encourages alignment of principles and effort within your organization. They'll understand how their role fits in within the overriding mission of the organization. If I'm doing this task over here, Chad, how does it help me there? And then once they do that, it starts to create this ultimate desire to get better. If you think about goals and the goals that you've had with, personally or within an organization, why do they mostly fail, or why do they not get achieved the way that you would want them to? It's because there is not a clear reason for doing it. And when that happens, this ultimate desire to make it happen falls by the wayside. It sounded good at the time, but now it becomes powerful, and it will be the driver of your goals. Now, when you're thinking about creating this mission, it needs to be, again, very clear and concise. It doesn't need to be written with a lot of hyperbole and fancy words. It really should be written at an 8th grade level. Additionally, I want you to think about it as one sentence, one simple sentence. 2 max, but really get it down to 1 sentence, boil it down and make it that simple. Let me give you some examples of what a powerful mission statement looks like and what it can mean. From Southwest Airlines, they say, "We operate with a warrior spirit, a servant's heart, and a fun living attitude." And for those of you who have flown on Southwest, you know that that's how you feel. You feel great. You feel like you're part of that family when you're with them. Nordstrom says, "To give customers the most compelling shopping experience possible." I'll tell you a little story. I had a suit a few years ago that I'd gotten from Nordstrom. And let me tell you, if there was a lemon law for suits, I would have been eligible for this. This suit that I had spent a lot of money on was literally falling apart at the seams, no pun intended. My sleeves came undone, the bottom of the coat, my pockets ripped out, and I'd taken it back 3 times, different times to make things happen. And after the 3rd time of going back to into the store, the lady there was amazing. She said, "Chad, I can tell that you're frustrated. This has not been a good experience for you. What size do you wear?" I said, "Well, I'm a 42 long." She said, "Here is the rack of all of our 42 longs. You pick out any suit that you would like." This woman, this employee of Nordstrom, understood that their mission was to create that compelling shopping experience. And she got a customer for life because of that. So again, think about the alignment of goal and direction and that mission within your organization. Does it exist? If not, you're going to create this now to make this happen. Microsoft at its founding, I love this, a computer on every desk and in every home. Isn't that funny? Now we're thinking, I have a computer in my pocket. Every one of us does. And that's been transformative. But again, things evolve over time and when that takes place. Google says to organize the world's information. And I think they've done a remarkable job at achieving their mission and working towards that and making that happen. At Advice Media, I'm going to share our mission with you. And let me tell you that it took a lot of work to get here. We spent quite a bit of time working on this and fine-tuning this, but we landed on this. It is to make our clients' lives better by supporting their professional and personal success. And every member of the organization within Advice Media knows and is committed to memory our mission statement. It's fun. I mean, it didn't happen overnight. I can tell you that. I've walked into meetings before and held up a $20 bill and said, "Okay, someone recite for me our mission statement right now." And early on, there were a few blank stares. And the next day they'd come back in and we'd try it again. And I would give out that $20 bill. At times I've gone and sat next to someone at their desk and asked them, "Tell me the mission statement at Advice Media." And to hear them do that and say it back, and it's become ingrained in who they are and what we do. Now, are we perfect? Of course not. We're always working towards that. But I can tell you that we have created serious alignment at Advice Media by having a very, very concise mission statement. And if you will create one as well, again, 1 sentence max, written at an 8th grade level, something that creates direction and purpose within your company, you will see amazing results. Now, after you have a mission statement, you also need to think about what is it that you value. What are the core values, core concepts that matter to you and within the organization? Our leadership team at Advice Media spent a lot of time on our values. I'm going to share those with you so that you can see what those are as well. We started out with what we call transparency, and this is about being honest and being open. We let our company, all of our employees know where we're at financially, how we're performing, what's going on, what the goals are. We have an open door policy, but there's also accountability to everything that we do. Also, relentless effort. We feel that in order for us to be successful, we have to have relentless effort. We're chasing perfection, knowing that we're not going to get there, but along the way, we're going to achieve excellence. So that we're always going to look at it and say, that's not good enough. How do we make it better? We also value teamwork. We're divided into teams. We work within teams. And not only do we work within teams, but we support other teams in helping them, become better at what they do. And we recognize those. And let me tell you, we talk about these at every single town hall meeting, every single weekly meeting that we're holding. When we do little sip and shouts on a weekly basis, we talk about this. We shout out about great things that we have seen from others in our organization and what they're doing. And lastly, we have intellectual honesty as one of our core values. Now, I'll tell you, early on, I didn't understand or know intellectual honesty. What does that mean? I understand honesty, but it was explained to me that honesty can mean something different from one person to another, depending on maybe how we were raised. And so intellectual honesty means that we're looking at numbers. We get rid of the anecdotal stories, and think about anecdotal stories that maybe you tell yourself, or maybe that your employees tell you of saying, oh yeah, everything's great. Well, great, well, what does that mean? How did you arrive at that great piece there? Tell me where that came from. And when you boil it down to numbers and getting down to metrics, now you can understand and be transparent and understand where am I really, and assess your current status and current situation. And that's going to lead into really our next point of knowing your numbers. Now, when it comes to creating your core values, some direction on this, you can see how concise we have made these as well. And I would advise you, do not create more than six max. 4 is a great number. 4 is awesome. And I'll tell you, every one of our employees has memorized our mission statement and our core values. Those are 2 things they've committed to memory that they know, they understand, and they know that we're going to ask them about it when we're together. So make it so it's impactful, be consistent, hold people accountable for these, and you will see great results come from it. So moving into knowing your numbers. So by now you've heard me recite these quotes, and I love these quotes because they're impactful. So this is another one from Thomas S. Monson. He said, when performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported, the rate of improvement accelerates. And that is amazing. Think about that. So we're going to report and measure things, and you need to have that within your organization. Where I want to start, though, with numbers within your business is with this right here. And this is understanding the lifetime value of your clients. This might be one of the most important things that you understand, is the customer lifetime value. Now, if you're a transactional business and it's a one-time in and out, well, then you're going to know that there's maybe not a lifetime value. You might want to rethink your business model to get to having more of a recurring business. So we service both the legal market as well as the medical market. So if you're on the legal side, you might have someone who's on retainer, as well as the different work you're doing for them throughout the year. So pretty easy to understand that your average transaction could be, what is your retainer every single month, plus what is the other purchase frequencies or other expenses that might occur throughout the year. You can take that average. How many years are you anticipating and that they're going to be a client? And you can figure that out by looking at your history of knowing how long you've averaged of keeping your clients. And that creates a lifetime value of understanding what that means. Within the aesthetic market, lifetime value has been estimated by the American Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgery to be anywhere from $90,000 to about $120,000. And you start thinking about that within maybe even a med spa. How frequently do people come in to get their lasers, their injectable, their Botox treatments? And then others, it might be the surgical cases in between that. If it's an ophthalmology practice, how often are they coming back in? Might be for the routine eye exams, but then they might need their surgery. So again, what's the lifetime value of any client? You need to figure this piece out because it helps you understand the value of every one of your clients and staying in contact with them. But what are the other metrics that are so important that are measured? First one that I would suggest is your lead response time. When you receive a phone call, when an email is filled out, when there's an online chat, when there's an email or a social media message, how long does it take you or your staff to respond to that? If you don't know, you need to figure that out. And you need to get that down to as low a number as possible. Statistics have shown that by waiting even 10 minutes to respond, your likelihood of getting back in touch with them decreases by almost 50% because they're talking to other people. And if somebody else gets to them first, that top of mind awareness has now been strengthened. So your response time on leads needs to be super fast, lightning fast. So you need to know what your lead response time is. Do you know what your no-show rate is? Understanding that we had an appointment, they didn't show up. If you don't know that, then how do you know how to improve it? So you need to make sure that you're measuring that and tracking that so that you can improve upon that. If you think about this and improving your profitability down the road, if you can improve your show rate by even 0.5% every single week, every single month, over the course of the year, how many more people would come into your practice because of a little change you could make? So understand your no-show rate. Additionally, understanding your profitability by service or procedure. And I'm going to talk about this more in item number 3 of some of your opportunities. But understanding your profitability by service or procedure becomes extremely critical to what you're doing. You might be offering a procedure service that you love. The reality is it's not profitable. I've worked at other companies before where they were offering services and they honestly had no idea how much it cost to provide that. And the whole mentality was, well, we'll make it up somewhere down the road. How do they know? They weren't measuring it or tracking it. So if you don't understand all your profitability and the expenses that go into it, you're going to be in trouble. You need to understand that and look at that number closely. Additionally, you want to understand your revenue by service or procedure. You're going to have certain procedures that, frankly, by customer patient, I apologize, revenue by customer patient. Certain customers are worth more than others. And within those, can they turn into a referral for you? And how much are they worth to you? What things would you maybe want to do for them because of how valuable they are for you? Where this leads is understanding that while you might be a medical, dental, legal practice, every one of you at the end of the day is a sales and marketing organization. And what you're doing is you're creating a marketing and lead funnel. And so you need to understand what is your conversion rate. Think about a funnel. You have leads coming in, turning into prospects, turning into customers. It's no different from what I do. And it's no different from what you do as well. But a lot of times, practices I talk to don't think about it like this, and they don't understand their conversion rate. So metrics, what are we talking about with conversion rate? Well, how many leads do you need to fill your calendar and have beyond that so that you can get to that next piece, which is scheduling for a procedure or a surgery or coming into your office to meet with the legal advisory team. If you don't have enough leads coming in, how can you get more customers, more cases out of that? So again, this applies across any business, but understanding, do you have enough leads coming in? If not, you've got to tweak some things to make that happen. But again, what is your schedule to surgery or procedure rate or to case rate? And then what is your close rate? How many of those are you actually closing? And every single one of those bullet points, including this one, is what is your time to close? All 4 of those can be moved by a lever, meaning you can improve every single one of those by maybe 0.5% or a percentage point, but it's exponentially more powerful at the bottom. So a little increase at the top actually leads to more at the bottom. And so it becomes really, really important that you look at this and understand those numbers and that you work towards improving those along every step of the way. Now, if you don't understand them or don't know where they are, I have a lot of resources of those that are practice managers that can help you understand how to get those. In all likelihood, you have the data. You just need to figure out how to get it out of your system and then be able to analyze it. Additionally, here's some other numbers that I want you to look at. And I know most of you have been looking at this already because of where you've been. A lot of you have had to close your practices. You're trying to do some virtual consultations or virtual events, be in touch with people, but you need to understand and look at this, your cash to your burn rate, know what your position is. What are your other expenses right now? What can be cut as needed? A lot of you have already cut these. We've talked about in our recent webinar and email series about the importance of applying for the loans through the Paycheck Protection Program. Many people have been approved for those. They've already received funds. They are still available. So if you have not taken advantage of that, I invite you to do that. Make that happen today. There are a lot of great resources out there to do that. If your local bank can't help you, the one that you bank with, go online, look at other options and make that happen. But you need to understand, again, this position at all times. Don't be caught off guard. One of my good friends, Dr. Rich Castellano, talks about how he one day had his office manager that came to him and said, I think we're gonna have to file for bankruptcy. He had taken his eye off this by his own admission, and he didn't know where he was from a cash perspective and understanding that they were upside down. They had lost track of this, so you need to understand your numbers at all times. Now, I want to move into identifying some options and opportunities, because once you understand where you are today, and again, you need to be honest. You can't allow for the hyperbole and don't tell yourself stories. Let the numbers do the talking for you. That way you can be completely honest with yourself. Your staff can't try to cover things up for you. And when you hear things, dig in deeper, ask more questions, make sure that you understand all the numbers and everything that's behind them so that it gets you to the number that you're looking for. I love this quote. Here we go with another quote. We are all faced with a series of great opportunities, brilliantly disguised as impossible situations. So for anybody today that feels like we are in an impossible situation, one that just feels like a burden on your shoulders, not knowing when you can open up your practice again, we hear you. Within that, though, are opportunities. And it's going to change quickly. And you need to be prepared for that, or you're going to get caught off guard. Let me show you a little video clip from this great movie, The Lion King. This is where Simba is caught in the little valley and there's a rush. This is how your staff and you are going to feel if you are not prepared for the rush that's coming. So anyway, it's going to feel like that, I promise you, if you don't get ready for this. All right, so I want to go back to our funnels and understanding some of the profit centers that right now can help you be successful. And I can't answer all this for you. Your numbers are going to tell you what to do, where to focus your efforts. Because as you reopen your doors, you need to accelerate your revenue. You need to identify these aspects within your practice. And what I mean by profit center, well, let's say that you're an ophthalmologist, okay? And you have a whole bunch of people that want to come in for a glaucoma treatment. Well, do you make more money from a glaucoma treatment or from a cataract treatment? You know that you're going to make more money on a cataract treatment. And I'll tell you, we've got a webinar coming up in a couple of weeks with our partners at Sergio Rhythm, where we're going to dig into that more and more on the ophthalmology side. You need to identify how to maximize and accelerate revenue immediately because you've lost so much. If you are a plastic surgeon, for example, you can start to look at your numbers and think, okay, well, how much do I make for a rhinoplasty and how long does it take me to perform that procedure versus how much I make for a breast augmentation and how long it takes me to perform that procedure. Understanding that you are actually going to maximize your profitability off of a breast augmentation should tell you that you should be booking as many breast augmentations at the beginning as possible. In addition to that, what you should be doing is actually holding virtual consultations right now with your practice administrator in with you, where you can do an examination online securely all HIPAA secure and HIPAA aligned. And actually, you can take deposits today, which means you have cash coming in, so that when you open your doors again and they come into your practice, they're not coming in for a pre-consult visit. No, they're coming in for a surgery consult, meaning it is a pre-op visit at that point because you have already taken care of all the work leading up to that. This can apply across every single one of your practices and what you're going to do to make that happen. Now, additionally, successful practices, they focus on their marketing during a slowdown time. And so what you should do is look at, for every $2 that you are cutting from your expenses, put $1 back into your investment. Talking to one of our dental practices in Texas, and they've been doing this, and they're like, Chad, we're hardly seeing a slowdown. They are booming right now and getting things lined up on large dental implant cases because they're putting more into PPC right now and understanding that most people have pulled out, which means the cost per click has actually decreased. So they can actually get more eyeballs and more visitors and more clicks than ever before because other people pulled out of the market. So their dollar is now going further than it's ever gone before. And this is true on a lot of other fronts. Now, also, what you're going to want to understand is that you're going to have to work through the patient backlog. And what is going to be your plan to do that? How are you going to make that happen? Understand, like that rush that I showed you, right? That's going to happen. People are anxious to get back to normal. So how will you prioritize your calendar and the types of clients, patients, prospective clients that you're going to allow back in? Are they going to be the ones that are going to be aligned with your profitability centers and the items that you have already identified that you're more profitable with? Again, you might think that, well, I want to be offering this, this, and this, and you break it down, it's like, wow, that one really doesn't make us a lot of money. It actually costs us more than we thought. It's only a 10% profitability, where this other one over here gives us 25, 30%, 50% profitability. Well, focus your efforts there initially. Now, if you're trying to fill your calendar and you can't get every single slot filled up, fair enough, then start to put in some other people in those other slots. But start with the high profitability. Again, the concept and thought in your mind should be, how do I accelerate revenue immediately when I reopen my doors so that I can get back to a normal status of where I was before this whole thing hit? You can make that happen. But I promise you that if you are not ready for the surge and they start calling and you don't have a plan and you haven't already put into play a lot of the concepts we're talking about, people are going to go somewhere else. So get that plan in place, make sure you've identified it, and make it happen. So being proactive along this as well. Those golden eggs, what are you going to do? Well, start with some of that low-hanging fruit. Call, text, email anybody that you had to cancel with. And get them lined up again. Start talking to them. Hold these virtual consultations with them. Meet with them. Understand what their needs are. There's so much that can be done today with technology that's available to you. Additionally, go out and mine your database. Might be recare or talking to people you just haven't talked to for a long time. They're late for appointments. That maybe been slow. Reach out to them. Your staff, I know you've furloughed some of them. You still have some on in a lot of cases. Utilize their talents today. Get them on the phone. Start mining your database, cleaning it up. And so at the same time, you want to make sure that you have the most current email address, cell phone, so that you can reach out to them through these other technology devices and means that are available to you. And a lot of times your database has become old, it's become stagnant, and it's hard to keep up. Right now is the time to make that happen. And additionally, what I want you to think about is what other opportunities are out there. You don't have to solve all the problems by yourself. That's why even at Advice Media, it's not just our CEO, Sean Mealy, by himself, or Chad Erickson by himself. We're bringing in others. The marketing team meets and we talk about ideas. We brought the executive team in to talk about things, but we don't have all the ideas. We're bringing other members of our management team because why? Well, because they're talking to you. And as they're talking to you, our clients and other prospects out there, we're hearing great information, and we want to make sure that we're in touch. So you want to brainstorm, you want to involve your staff, have a group discussion, get to know, things they're hearing, things that they're aware of. They will be some of your greatest resources within your practice to help you be successful. Lean on them and let them be a huge part of your solution. You'll be amazed at how much they can do when you allow them. So anyway, get into that with them and talk to them. I want to also point out a couple of things. History is a great teacher. In the Great Depression, Post cereal was the #1 leader in dry cereal. And during that time, they cut their advertising budget basically to zero. In the meantime, Kellogg, they doubled their advertising. And they came out on top when the war is over and are still top today. In the recession from 73 to 75, Honda and Volkswagen, they decreased their advertising. And within that time, within 17 months, Toyota became #1 in all imported car sales. Huge. Recession of 1990, McDonald's, they dropped all their advertising. Oh, no, I shouldn't say all of it, excuse me. They dropped a big portion of it, but their sales dropped by 29%. Conversely, what you saw happen was that Pizza Hut and Taco Bell actually doubled their advertising during that time and increased their sales by 61 and 40%, 61%, 40% respectively. During the Great Depression Great Recession, of 2009, Amazon increased their sales by 28%. There are opportunities for every single one of you. It might be, that you charge for a virtual consultation. It might be that you open an online shopping cart. It might be that you're making sales right now on products or other things that you haven't done before. There are opportunities for you in the market to get better at what you're doing. Now we're into step number 4. And that is our goals and OKRs. I'm going to explain OKRs. I'm actually really excited about this and talking about this principle. Get with the quote. Now, people with goals succeed because they know where they are going. And that's from Earl Nightingale. And that's really what it does, is it provides direction. The mission statements we talked earlier, it's that alignment and that direction. But now the goals will align and support that mission. And when it's a powerful mission that everybody is held on to, the goals align with it as well. And goals we've seen come and go, but we love the method of OKRs, which stands for objectives and key results. And listen, this is not something we came up with. It's from a book called Measure What Matters, written by John Doerr. I'll tell you just a little bit about John Doerr. John Doerr was an executive at Intel. He learned from Andy Grove. Andy Grove was one of the brightest minds in business that we've seen in the U.S. in probably the last 100 years, truly a disciple of his. And Andy Grove implemented a lot of these concepts. Well, John took these concepts and he took them to the Bay Area, where he's been a very successful venture capitalist and consultant. In fact, he was one of the initial consultants in with Google, with Larry Page and Sergey Brin, when they were really in a garage still, and helped them implement these procedures of and these strategies of OKRs, again, objectives and key results. And he said that before you set your goals, you have to first understand the question of why. Why are we doing what we are doing? And again, it's going to align to that mission, that powerful mission statement we talked about at the beginning. So objectives and key results, they provide the what and the how. So once you've answered that question of why, that mission statement, now the OKR gives you the what and the how. The objective is the what, and the key result is the how. Laszlo Block, who was the head of human resources at Google, he said that OKRs provide clarity of purpose. Most talented people want an aspiration that is inspiring. Within your organization, that's true as well. Again, we're going to reduce that 75% that feel like their work doesn't matter, doesn't align with anything, because you're helping them understand the what and the how and the why. And when you've helped your team understand that, Now you're creating powerful alignment across the entire organization. So OKRs, well, they demand the why. Again, why are we doing this work? And so a well-communicated mission that we've talked about multiple times not only motivates the team, but it's going to help them focus on these goals and really work collectively. And this is something that has been extremely powerful at Advice Media. We implemented these nearly 2 years ago. And I can tell you, without getting into specific numbers, it has literally transformed the way that we operate. It has allowed us to be so successful today, to have great cash reserves, to not have to lay anybody off, to be financially stable, but also to be able to achieve our growth goals that we have set out a long time ago, because we are aligned within our departments, but also it's broken down silos to where we're helping one another because we're focused. And I'm going to give you more examples of this and how it works. So how do these work? Well, I love this quote by Larry Page, again, one of the founders at Google. He said, OKRs have helped lead us to 10x growth many times over. And I'll tell you, I not only have read this book multiple times, I've also downloaded it, listened to it on Audible, because on Audible, you actually get to hear Larry Page, Andy Grove, Bono, Bill Gates, and other leaders from big companies and small companies talk about how OKRs have helped them. Hearing in their own voice talk about how they've helped them is amazing. But he said they've helped make our crazy, bold mission of organizing the world's information perhaps even achievable. They've kept me and the rest of the company on time and on track when it mattered most. So again, if you're looking to align your organization and become the best at what you do, this is the method for getting there. The objective, again, it's the what. It's creating and aligning that direction in the organization, and it becomes clear and concise with what you want to do. The key result, again, is the how. So the key results, really, it's the metric, it's the measurement that surrounds every one of your objectives. And there's usually going to be 3 to 5 key results for every objective. As our organization has grown, it's taken us time to get better and better at creating the objectives and key results, these OKRs. Initially, we would find ourselves creating way too many key results to match up to the objectives. But I can tell you that over time, we've gotten more concise with these, and everyone in the organization has begun to understand them more and more. All right, so I'm going to talk about how these function from what would be a top-down approach, if you will. And this is showing an example from football. And then I'm going to get into some examples that would be real life to your organization. So we're going to start with a hypothetical objective. So again, I want you to understand this in concept, but I want you to start thinking about how could this work within my company, within my business, within my practice to get us better. The objective becomes, well, how do we make money for the owners? If I'm the football general manager, right? How do we make more money for the owners? Well, the key results that would matter for this general manager could be, well, we're going to win the Super Bowl and we're going to fill our stands to, let's say, 88% capacity for each home game. So what happens, and the way that this goes down within the organization, is that those 2 key results that you see featured here, the win the Super Bowl and the fill the stands, they're going to become an objective for someone else. So win the Super Bowl becomes the objective for the head coach. So the head coach is now saying, great, we're going to win the Super Bowl, and rah, rah. Well, he says, how do we do that? Well, the key results for this head coach become, well, in order to win the Super Bowl, we have to average 250 passing yards per game. We need to be number 3 in overall defensive statistics throughout the year. We need to average 120 rushing yards per game. We need to be plus 12 in the turnover ratio. And what starts to happen is that every one of these key results, all 4 of those, actually become the objective for someone else within the organization. 250 yards passing per game, that's going to be the key result for the offensive coordinator. It's going to trickle down to the quarterback coach, the quarterback himself. If it's the rushing, it's going to impact the offensive coordinator again, as well as the running back coach and the running backs, understanding their role in that, as well as the offensive line who has to block for them. Number 3 in defensive stats, defensive coordinator, and understanding everyone on the defensive team has to be aligned. And you can see how it starts to trickle down. Now everyone will understand how their objectives and key results are matching back up to what the general manager said at the beginning. So how would this work maybe within a medical practice? And if you're a legal practice, it works the same. So just go with this. But let's say that you're a medical practice and you're the owner there, or you're the business administrator. How do I increase my revenue from hypothetically $3 million to $5 million in our calendar year? Well, we're going to say we determined that we're going to hold X number of quarterly sales events. So 4 quarter sales events throughout the year, the quarterly. We're going to increase our upsells and cross sells to our existing clients from X to Y, and by what date, right? You've got to have, it needs to have a number with it, as well as be time bound. These are still SMART goals. If you're familiar with the idea of SMART, S-M-A-R-T, specific, measurable, attainable, timely. It needs to, reportable and then timely, but all those has to be there, right? So you need to have that in there still. So time bound with a number. Could be that we're going to add 4 additional surgical cases every single month. Well, 4 surgical cases a month, you're like, well, that's not much. It's only 1 a week, right? But over the course of the year, what does that mean to you? And if every one of those cases is worth $5,000, well, $5,000 is now $20,000 over the course of a month. Now you're talking about almost $250,000 over the course of the year, because you're more focused on this and everyone's aligned on that. Now, who becomes responsible for these items that are listed here? Well, let's say that it's the 4 surgical cases. Can your surgical coordinator get better at closing every one of those people? Again, going back to that sales funnel, remember our sales funnel leads in, gets down to those prospects, gets down to a close rate. How do we increase that close rate to become better at what we're doing? And everybody in the organization becoming more customer focused and customer centric. Do we improve the way we answer the phones? Probably. Do we become more efficient at the way that we do pre-op treatments? Can we do better screening of ophthalmology clients before they come in and save time and actually do a better job of educating early and often? Hopefully. Are we meeting the needs of everybody? If I'm in a law practice, am I doing a better job at actually creating a stronger referral base out there that's going to bring me in the right types of cases that I'm looking for? And again, every single one of these now gets trickled down to somebody else. Hold sales events. Well, that now becomes somebody else's objective within your practice. They're responsible for those. They have to work with the vendors. They have to make sure the invitations are going out. Where's the location? How many people are they going to get there? What are their other goals and key results to monitor and measure? Is it successful? Our friends at Projected Growth Consulting work on these and can help with that, and making sure that you're taking in the revenue that night. How much do we take in? So that we're booking on the spot. So all of these things become aligned, again, back to that initial mission, and now the goals and everything that you're doing aligns as well. OKRs, what else does it do? Well, the cultural benefits are huge. What you start to see is more transparency within your organization. You're going to remove those silos. And when I'm talking about a silo, I'm talking about departments. It's not, well, they didn't do their job over here. It's like, how do we work together to achieve all of this? Because there's transparency in having this alignment of OKRs. You're reviewing them on a weekly basis, individually as well as on your team. You're talking about them all the time. They're available for everybody to see. You're maintaining your percentage update and the way that they work. So they become extremely powerful. It creates greater collaboration within your practices and within your business and your business entity, which is huge. And that teamwork, that common purpose, that alignment, again, focus more on your mission statement of what you want to accomplish. What you're also going to see is accountability. You're eradicating that 75% of people that feel disengaged because they know why. They know why they're doing what they're doing. They know why it matters. They know how it's going to move them, how what they do over here is impacting somebody else, which also creates higher productivity, which at the end of the day leads to more trust within the organization, across every department of the organization, and with your customers. So it becomes critical to focus on that. Now I'm going to move into, in our last few minutes here, move into step number 5, which is implementing your plan. So what else happens here? Well, at Advice Media, we want to talk about the fact that we are your guide, right? We're here. We can't necessarily visit with every single one of you and help you understand and develop your mission statement. We can't necessarily help you identify every one of your metrics. You're gonna have to spend some time doing that, but we can guide you a little bit through that, or provide resources of people we know in the industry that specialize in that if you're struggling through it. We can help you as you have the numbers, though, identify where should you be focusing your effort, what should be your strategy and your plan moving forward, and then also working on your OKRs and your goals to make those effective. We can help you with that. We are your guide. Other things that we're going to be doing for you during this time, because we recognize that right now we're talking about some different phases that are happening, and how do you move through that? Well, we're developing right now, and it's almost ready, and so it's going to be ready and launch next week, is a very detailed white paper. It's going to talk about 4 phases that are going to help you move through this. Right now, we're in phase 1, which is strategy and planning, but it's also preparing and tactics. Over the past 5 weeks, I've been sending out all kinds of tactics. I've been emailing you like crazy. I've been sending you videos. I mean, you've been hearing from us with these ideas. We've been putting it on a resource page on the advicemedia.com website. It's there for you. Continue to read those, use those. Those are some of the tactics. But it's about executing, and we need to have you ready to execute on everything. You're going to continue to receive new videos, new emails about how to do this specifically to be ready for launch. There's also going to be website, other things on the website, items ready for your website and social media. These are things that you can put on there. They're announcements. It's new hero banner images. We're going to help you understand how to create videos that are welcome back videos for your practice. All of these things are going to be so easy for you to understand, to implement and digest. And we're going to start sending all those out early next week. So again, this week was helping you understand right now, where are you, how to start creating this powerful plan that's going to take you to the next level. And again, getting to where you need to be, it's about these 5 items. It's about having a powerful mission statement and understanding your values. It's about knowing your numbers and your metrics. It's about identifying your options and opportunities that are going to help you work through that backlog, accelerate your revenue, and be stronger through all this. 4th is going to help you with the goals, your OKRs, and getting everybody in the organization aligned and focused on those. Again, I make nothing for it, but I highly recommend the book of Measure What Matters by John Doerr. Go to Amazon right now, get a copy of it. It's an awesome read. It's a quick read. It's well worth your time. Additionally, we're going to be here with implementing your plan, and we at Advice Media, again, are your guide to help you through this. The key to all of this, though, is consistency. This can't be a one-time flash in the pan type effort or energy on your part. There has to be accountability within the organization and within your company. Your practice and your practice longevity depends on it. You are at a pivotal moment right now, and what you do today is going to have a lasting impact. You can come out of this stronger than ever before if you will implement the things that we've talked about and maintain consistency with this. Now, again, as I mentioned, we are here to help you. We're here to be part of this. If any of you would like to have a copy of this presentation, I'm happy to share it with you. I'll put it in a PDF format, send it out. It's also going to be emailed back out to every one of you in a video format. But if you do want a PDF copy of the deck, you can email me at my email, which is chad.erickson@advicemedia.com. So again, we're going to continue to talk about more of these strategies, these ideas of how to help you. Now, there's a few questions and ideas that came in. I'm just going to kind of read through these, so give me just a second as I do that. And kind of focus on these. So, all right, so there's my information. So question here, let's see if I can, it's going to let me click on this. Looks like it's kind of caught. I apologize, it's not letting me, click on some of your questions. I see some of them that are here. It's going to let me get to these afterwards. So unfortunately, the question section is locked on me. Nothing I can do right now. Let's try another way. It's not. So for those of you who have put in questions, I can get these afterwards. The system will let me. I will respond to each of you individually and reach out to you so that we can be in contact. I thank you for your time today. I want you to know that I honor you for taking the time to be here, to learn from us. And I invite you to stay positive, to recognize all these things we've talked about, and we will continue to be your guide. We look forward to being successful and coming out of this on top. I wish you all the best, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.